Alright, so in this video right here, I'm going to break down the exact launch sequence that we used to make Juliano Massarelli over $100,000 with a single story sequence. I'm going to be showing y'all the ins and outs from the branding to the copy to the overall framework, including something so little like the images he uses can make the biggest difference in the world. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Danny. I'm 16 years old, and for the past 6 months, I've been working with the biggest guys in info, working on their content, their story sequences, as well as mass distribution, helping them go from point A to point B. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I made my client Juliano more than 6 figures off of one story sequence. We got this board right here that I made, and as you can see here, we're getting payments left, right, and center. We have a 5K, 4K, 5K, 10K. So we're basically getting piffs every single left, right, and center. Now, usually whenever you do a big launch, you have this hype up phase. There was no hype up phase whatsoever. We launched on the same day and we still collected over 6 figures. Now, you may be wondering why, and that's why I'm here to show you everything. I'm not going to gatekeep a single thing. I'm going to be giving you the exact structure and framework that we use to make it more than 6 figures. So do yourself a favor, make sure you pull out a pen and a piece of paper and take notes, because this is the only place on YouTube where you're ever going to be able to find this. Now, before we actually analyze the sequence, we got to see why did this work so well in the first place. Now, before we actually go super in-depth into the framework, the copy, the graphics, it's super important to understand what we're working with. So before we look at anything else, let's look at his audience. Now, the pros of his audience is that he has over 850,000 followers, and he's by far the biggest name in life insurance. So when people think of somebody in life insurance, the first name that comes to mind is Juliano Massarelli, because there's nobody else as big as him. And another thing that is absolutely amazing is that his audience is primarily 18 to 24-year-olds. This is super good for one of two reasons. One, the new wave of Gen Z doesn't like working 9-to-5 jobs. They see someone making money online and they want to do exactly what they're doing, which is why this audience is perfect. And the second reason is because they have enough time but very little responsibilities. So they're able to consume literally every second of Juliano's content. And this is perfect because they're diehard fans and they know exactly what he does. He also associated himself with Jordan Belfort. Now, this is bad for one of two reasons. One, because he entertains people more than actually giving value. And reason why this sucks, because people are going to see you as a person who can make them laugh and not the person who can help them get to your goals. Another reason why his audience is a con is that it's very top of the funnel. Now, if you know about funnels, if you know about how an audience works, the more top of the funnel your audience is, the more broad they are and the less they actually know about you. And they know very little about life insurance and sales in general. And the main reason for all this to begin with is because he blew up from cold calling dance videos. You know, the videos where he's like, Christopher. And he blew up. He's had several videos get over 10 million views, like 7.5 million, 32 million, 8.2 million. These have all blown up, but they've done zero for him because he's not providing any value, and all he's doing is getting the viewer the emotion to make them laugh. This increases the complexity because in order to get them from point A to point B, Juliano now has to provide much more value just to get a basic understanding. As well as this, because they're primarily top of the funnel, and he's positioned more of an entertainer, you try to hard sell them by suddenly changing your content strategy, they're immediately going to notice this and they're going to switch up on him completely. Now, these are all going to be considered because the pros right here are going to be doubled down on, and the cons are going to actually be considered when actually making the sequence. That's his audience, but what's the funnel that we're actually working with? So the funnel that we're working with is a VSL opt-in. So essentially they watch a VSL, they look at the website, they see all of his results, and down here, they have the option to opt in, like name, email, phone number, and an SMS list that they could apply to. Now, this works pretty well, but there's a few things that you also have to keep in mind. For example, anybody could watch a 3-minute long VSL. Most people nowadays have the attention span of a goldfish. So you're not filtering out anybody in particular because everybody is going to be able to watch it. For example, let's say instead you ran a 30-minute like webinar or something like that, you would only attract the highest quality people because those are the type of people who have an attention span and who could actually watch all of this firsthand. As well as this, if the VSL doesn't align with Juliano's brand, his audience will get the guru vibe from him. You know those Miami LARPers who you just watch, they pull up in their supercars and they say, buy my course? Essentially, if Juliano's VSL doesn't align with his audience, he's going to be associated with one of those people, which is not something that we want to do. As well as he'll be getting a lot of leads from every age whatsoever. Now, we want to target younger people from 18 to 24-year-olds, as well as older people who are already in life insurance who want to make more. Now that we've covered the funnel, we've covered his audience, let's go in depth of the actual sequence. So as you can see here, we have a 9-slide story sequence that we use to launch, and the framework essentially goes like this. The hook, the pattern interrupt plus humor, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. The wow factor, pacing, unique mechanism, results, FOMO, breaking their beliefs, and then the CTA. Now, I'm going to be going through literally every single one of these at a time. So let's start with the hook. So the hook we did, you've definitely seen me before. People call me the wolf of insurance for a reason. 6 months ago, I decided to create something that literally could make you print like Jordan Belfort. Now, I'm going to go super in depth into this slide right here, into literally everything. Number 1, wolf of insurance. That's the nickname that he's referred to. Now, if you know anything about Jordan Belfort, his nickname was the Wolf of Wall Street. So essentially what we did is we took this picture and we photoshopped Juliano's face on it. So he's literally the Wolf of Wall Street, but it's the Wolf of Insurance, if you get what I mean. And this was super, super good for 2 reasons. 1, it was a pattern interrupt. Most people are just scrolling with going along their days, and seeing Juliano holding a dollar bill, exactly like the movie scene of Jordan Belfort, pattern interrupts them. They had no idea what to expect, and this is the first thing that they see, as well as highlighting this in red so it stands out. And if you know anything about color psychology, red means urgency usually. So by making the Wolf of Insurance red, it's urgent, as if they have to pay attention, as well as something so simple like this number line right here. This is essentially showing where they are now, where they want to be, and the unique mechanism that's going to get there. We'll touch more on that as well. Now, second slide. This is the pattern interrupt plus the humor, the real pattern interrupt, not only just a hook. Now, everybody asks me, Juliano, why are you so sexy? Now, this does 2 things. 1 is that it lowers the viewer's guard, and it adds humor. Because Juliano posts a lot of workout content, he shows him posing, his physique, everything like that, that is what it references to. Because once again, if we go all the way back up to his audience, they consume every second of Juliano's content, so they would understand. Nah, but for real. Juliano, how'd you do so well your first month in life insurance? This is just a question. Next slide after this is the wow factor. It's because I found a method, even you could use it, makes them feel included, that allows anybody to start printing from 0. Now, I want to add a few things here, just looking back on this after the launch. By saying $0, you're attracting a lot of broke leads. So instead of saying $0, we'd say a small amount. Because now what we had to do is in our future sequences that we made, we had to DQ a lot of the viewers. And then 4 is pacing. And I'm teaching this inside the blueprint, making sure they're on track and showing them what's actually going to be inside. 5 is a unique mechanism. This is the mechanism that everyone has, profile funnel. Now you might be asking, what the is in the blueprint? It's a new method I'm teaching, IBM independent broker model. This is the method that Juliano preaches that people are going to be following to make money under his guidance, which is why it's super important, because people have never heard of this before and they got to see it firsthand. Next, results. If you don't have results, why should people believe me? Hell, if I didn't have results, you wouldn't be watching this video till now. It's because of what I showed you at the start. With little knowledge, anybody could make money from this. And then we got pictures of results like faded, so they actually pay attention, and a whole lot of more. Number 7 is the most important slide in the whole sequence, which is FOMO, fear of missing out. Essentially, the psychology of what we did here is we drew a chart of Bitcoin. If you know about Bitcoin, back in 2008, it was priced at $1. Now, if you want to buy a Bitcoin, it's $80,000. And if you would have bought back then, you would have made a lot of money. Just like now, if you were to buy Juliano's mentorship, you would make a lot of money. But if you don't, you miss out on the opportunity. So this created an insane amount of FOMO for the people. If they didn't join now, they'll never get to where they want to be. And this creates lots and lots of urgency by saying you miss out. And then the second to last one is breaking their limiting beliefs. As you know, a lot of young people have limiting beliefs that they can't get to where they want to be, which is why they're poor. And that's exactly why what we're doing when it comes to breaking their limiting beliefs. If this dork was able to reach the influence he has today, yeah, that's me, don't hate. Imagine what you can do with the correct resources and right people by your side. Most people ignore opportunities like these and then complain why they haven't seen any progress in life. I learned this the hard way, and eventually I found out that in order to take correct decisions in life, you have to be a risk taker. This essentially makes it 100% certain that what they're doing is going to work. And this is a super important slide. And then lastly is the CTA. Now with all that aside, save your spot. Showing a few committed individuals how the blueprint actually works. And this last line right here shows that there's limited spots. If a program is accessible to everybody, it has no value. So by making the spots limited, it gets people's perception that it actually is valuable. Now, when it comes to branding, I went over it briefly, but essentially what we use is a clean font and the blueprint branding style. So the blueprint branding is obviously right here with his website. And we matched the colors pretty similar, so they knew what they were getting into. And we use different colors to invoke a different emotion. For example, we use red, we use pink, we use this yellow, as well as that simple number lines and graphs, like the number line, the icons, the Bitcoin chart, everything when it comes to that. Now, we used a mix of serious pictures when it needed to be serious, but it was mostly funny and humorous photos because, like we said up here, one of the cons is that he's an entertainer. So his audience is not getting entertained by these sequences and these funny pictures, then there's no reason why they should buy in the first place, because that's the original reason why they followed him. And as well as emphasizing certain words to convey the message in a stronger manner. For example, in this slide right here, IBM is bigger than everything else, because we wanted it to be emphasized. Now, if you want to work with me on a personal level, you want me to come inside your business, take care of your content, your story sequences, as well as mass distribute, I do have a link below this video to apply to work with me. And if you're qualified, someone on my team or myself will reach back out to you. So with that being said, I hope you found this video valuable. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember that I believe in every single one of you watching this video till the very end. Peace.